I was lying in my cot in my fraternity, and the radio was on, and we got the news that Japan had attacked Pearl Harbor. So we all figured this was the time we had to go. So what we did, we banded together, we all went down to the draft board, and we enlisted. Having enlisted, we went on to our various units. I got put on a train and went down to North Carolina, a place called Camp Davis. Camp Davis was a camp that specialized in anti-aircraft, anti-tank. And I spent probably about 6 months down there. We shot our 90 millimeter anti-aircraft guns over the ocean at planes, not at planes themselves, but they were towed targets behind the planes, and we used that as our point of sight. It came time for the invasion, so we moved down to the sites where all the troops were congregating, and we got on ships, small ships, LST, LCTs, and so forth. And of course, as you probably remember from the history of it, it was raining like crazy, the wind was blowing, and we weren't quite sure whether the invasion would take place, but it did. And we went over, and I think it was probably D plus 9 or 10 Utah Beach. There were two beaches, Omaha and Utah. Omaha took the brunt of it. Utah Beach was bloody, but I think it was the Big Red 1 Infantry Division cleaned out the Nazis along that beach in about a week. So we moved in after that, set up our anti-aircraft guns around that area. And during the period that we were there, I think we shot down about 17 German planes, who were coming in to strafe the troops in that area. Finally got to Paris, the day it was liberated. Another exciting day. We marched into Paris, we followed de Gaulle in there, and we billeted in the University of Paris, I believe, for about 7 or 8 days. And there were still German snipers in Paris at that time. They got cleared out, and we got orders to march with General Patton, George Patton, his Third Army, which we did, and we marched all across France and into Belgium, Holland, and up to the River Elbe. River Elbe is where the Russians were on one side and we were on the other, and we couldn't congregate with them at that point. The Bulge was taking place at that point. This was early December, and it was getting cold. And we were told that since we were anti-tank as well as anti-aircraft, that we had to go up there along with Patton, and we formed a defensive area up there with our guns, 90 millimeter guns. And I think we destroyed probably about 7 or 8 German tanks during that period of time. But it was cold. We went through that, and came Christmas Day. No planes could fly before that because, the snow was coming down, and there was no way that any planes, Allied planes, could get up there. But finally on Christmas Day, the sun came out, and I use the expression the sun, and I say S-O-N, meaning Jesus Christ. He saved us that day. We got up to a place called Nordhausen. Nordhausen was a town that was used by the Germans to develop material for their rockets. And it also contained a prisoner of war camp, and where the Germans had housed, I would say probably 2,000 or 3,000 Jewish people. We liberated that camp, and after that, the war was practically over. So I went to Marseille, got on a ship called the Canto Bianco Marno, Italian luxury liner, which was transported into actually made into a transport ship. And I returned home on that after about 7 or 8 days of up and down 65-foot waves in the North Atlantic. And then I got back home to Camp Kilmer, I think it was, in New Jersey, and got released from the service.